Hello and welcome to the shit that they do not tell you.
Hello, welcome back to Shit They Don't Tell You. I'm Nikki Limo.
My name is Steve Greene, but some people call me the Crypto King. Some people call me the Money Master.
He's drinking all your water.
We got my cat here
There's
drinking all my water.
On the table drinking all of Steve's water, just for you audio listeners out there.
And before we got rolling, he was licking all over the top of my Rockstar can, so that really sucks.
Well, maybe your drinks taste better than his. You know how when your mom makes her water just tastes better?
So much better.
Same water, it just tastes better when your parents do it.
She did the right amount of ice. She always did the right amount of all
Yeah,
that.
so you're the mama.
Okay.
You're his mama.
I guess so. Feels good.
What are we talking about today?
So today we are talking about everyone's freaking the fuck out about Bitcoin.
And this was recorded on January 5th. Just to timeline it out, because
2021.
This might not come out for a few weeks, so just in case.
Making out with my fucking water. I have to get rid of it.
He's having a love affair with your water.
Just in case he spills it. All right. So yeah, everyone is now talking about Bitcoin. If you have been a fan of this show, you have heard about Bitcoin the whole time. You never didn't hear about Bitcoin. Some of you like to email us about that.
Not a lot of people.
Not a lot of people. Well, no, but they'd like to email us about how, man, Steve sure talks about this a lot. But guess what? It's because I love the space. I love cryptocurrency in general. I love the idea of a free and open financial system. And I think that that's what's being built right now.
Yeah, that's pretty clear.
Yeah. And everyone is shocked right now. And Nikki came up to me the other day and she's like, man, it's crazy. Everyone is blown away about Bitcoin right now. And you were saying this would happen the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, I heard a saying recently that was like, it was about sharing your expertise, right? And the saying was, what's obvious to you is amazing to others.
Right.
And I thought about that, like how everyone has their thing that you know so much about that you don't even think about things not being obvious to other people. And I think Bitcoin's one of them for you, where I had to bring it up to your attention that like, well, it would be interesting to know why it wasn't so shocking to you, because it's so obvious to you.
Yes.
But for everyone else, we're like, what the hell? That came out of nowhere.
Okay, so I'm just gonna be as forthcoming as I can during this, because I want everyone to understand exactly my thinking behind this. So I first got into Bitcoin in 2013, right? Mm-hmm. And I found out about it from a buddy. He was just like, yo, dude, this thing's going up like crazy. Isn't that crazy? And I was like, I'm not going to just buy something because it's going up like crazy. Like, that's not my MO. I need to know why. A lot of people
do that, and I do not recommend that.
Yeah. And so that was my first quote unquote crypto bull market FOMO moment, fear of missing out, right? Mm-hmm. Where, so these markets are cycles, just like Wall Street. And this is what Wall Street people don't understand. Actually, I was talking to a Wall Street guy recently about Bitcoin, and he was laughing. This was 5 months ago. He was laughing because I was telling him that I made some moves in crypto and we did pretty good. And then he laughed on the phone. You remember you were on the phone. Mm-hmm. And he was saying that, oh my God, all these idiots got hosed at $20,000 Bitcoin.
This was a few months ago.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And Nikki was on the phone with me during that. And he just thought everyone was a moron. And I was like, oh no, like that's going to happen again. Like it's going to go well past that.
Yeah.
Like and he laughed at that.
Right.
He didn't even think that I was speaking silly sauce. He was
basically saying like you're a dummy for not going into stocks instead of cryptocurrency.
And they're both markets though. So everyone looks at crypto and they go, that's a Ponzi, right? Yeah. And it's just a Ponzi that everyone just dumps all their money in and then you get rich off the next guy, right? That's the whole thing behind it. There's no, use case, utility to all this stuff, like things that are actually meaningful to people all over the world. Like the fact that you don't have to walk into a banking institution, make them agree to take you as a customer. Mm-hmm. You can actually just move money without anyone's permission anywhere in the world. If you think that has no value, if you think that's just a Ponzi, I don't think you're paying attention to it. I think you're only being cynical about it and critical about it and not being fair to what it maybe is.
Have you read that book, The Tipping Point?
Yes.
I have not read that book, but I know the premise. It's that when you first have a new idea, it's just ridiculed and made fun of. Everyone laughs at it. And then as it slowly gets accepted, it reaches a tipping point where after that, people laugh at anybody that doesn't believe in it.
Yeah, and honestly, it's not even there yet. That's why when people say, they go, Steve, are you selling this Bitcoin shit at 20,000, all this stuff? I'm like, you don't even understand. Like 5% of the world doesn't even have it yet. Mm-hmm. Like people don't people all have been institutionally instructed by CNBC and all these financial shows and Wall Street Journal, all these places that have an incentive to keep the banking system exactly as it is, unfettered. They have an incentive to make sure to keep it that way. And the idea of an open financial system that doesn't need the Fed and all these other guys is terrifying to a lot of institutions that control the world. And that's not even conspiracy talk. Like, you can just see it by the way that they report on Bitcoin all the time. They always say, LOL, Bitcoin, this Bitcoin guy got arrested, so therefore it's a scam. Or they found, Bitcoin was tied into the Silk Road, which was this black market thing that they were using to buy drugs and shit. And they're going, it's a scam, see? But whenever they arrest drug dealers, I mention this all the time, but whenever they arrest drug dealers, what do they always pull out of the warehouses? Big fucking things of cash. So you can't just go like the currency, because it was involved in a crime. That's the currency is the crime.
Otherwise cash would have to be called a Ponzi scheme too.
You have to be fair. Yeah. You have to be fair. And if we live in a world where the Fed can print money anytime they want.
To be fair, yeah, cash is a Ponzi scheme.
You're damn right it's a Ponzi in that way. If you want to be critical, both sides, fair about it. And so Bitcoin is something that you cannot print more of. There's only going to ever be 21 million Bitcoins. The last one will be printed, I think, 100 years from now. Or not printed, but it's released. It's mined, exactly. But it's released like through the blockchain. But yeah, so I got into this shit big time, 2013. And when I say big time, I was just interested. I was just like, okay, I'm going to check this out. I did my reading on it. I ended up buying some. And then when it all tanked ass within a month of me buying it, like it was at 1,200 Bitcoin. I bought it around 1,195. Not even kidding. It was like right at the top. And then it went all the way down to $125. And, all the people, because then I started going to the Reddit stuff and for Bitcoin, and I started paying attention to more of like the crypto community, which I had no idea even existed. Didn't even know it was a thing. And I started to see a pattern where everybody, either you sold it and you're like, haha, LOL, that was fun. Or you were like, no, this shit's going to change the world.
Right.
And I think that there's something to be said about something that has the power that Bitcoin and Ethereum have to say that it could help change the world. Is it going to change the entire world? I don't know. But could it help to do that? It already is. So that's why, I was researching pretty hard. And I was doing a bunch of other stuff at the time too. So it really wasn't something on the forefront of my mind. And then 2016 happened. It's always slower for me end of the year. And so I remember we were just finished doing a movie, and I was like, well, I want to check in on Bitcoin, see how that's going. And then I started to see a through line, everyone talking about this thing called Ethereum, and it's smart contract based, and basically it's just a different way of utilizing blockchain, right? Like where two people, instead of like if you and me want to make a transaction on the blockchain, it's just you agreeing to send me a Bitcoin right now, right? And then all the miners all agree that I just did that, and there was no double spend or anything like that. We both just made this transaction happen. With Ethereum, you can create a smart contract, and two people agree with each other that this is happening, and it can be rooted to a goal. So I can say, hey, Nikki, I think the Colts are going to win this weekend or whatever. And you're like, I don't. And we can put that actually into a smart contract that gets verified.
Isn't that like a bet?
By an oracle. What's that?
Isn't that just like a bet?
Yeah. But it's a permissionless bet.
Yeah.
So how many times have people said they're going to pay you because of a bet and they don't? When you do this bet into a smart contract, you're putting the money up into it. And it's controlled by blockchain. It's not in your hands anymore. So if the bet like hits, you get paid out whether I want to even do that or not. If I'm like, I don't want to do this at the last minute, it's too late. You already put it in the smart contract.
How does it know that the Colts won the Super Bowl?
So that's what oracles do. And oracles communicate with blockchains and let them get and feed them information.
I see.
So that's part of what this project called Chainlink does. And there's many other projects. Don't be mad, but
do you think this is just a mass scheme for robots to eventually rule the world?
Well, a lot of people think that the singularity is going to happen, and that this will be part of all that shit.
What's the singularity?
Singularity is the moment when AI like takes over.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So.
Because AI can't really handle cash.
True.
So it wants you to believe in this coin that it can handle.
That could very well be.
Mm-hmm.
So, so let's speak to market cycles right now, right?
Okay.
It's 2016. Bitcoin is dead in the water. If you go anywhere in media, they all were like, haha, the balloon popped and all that kind of shit.
Shitting all over it.
Shitting all over it. This new thing comes out, Ethereum. I started to take interest in that. I started buying some of that. And then all of a sudden, Bitcoin just takes off, right? End of year 2016. And all of a sudden, it just doubles. And it doubles fast. Because that fucking thing moves when it moves.
Mm-hmm.
And
why is that?
Well,
do you know?
So it depends, right? So if you look, you can, I have many friends in this space and they all have their own theories. Mm-hmm. But obviously it's money coming into Bitcoin, right?
Right.
Now, whose money it is, and, there's some conspiracies about this thing called Tether being used to artificially pump Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. Hasn't really been proven, but there's a lot of thoughts behind that. Mm-hmm. But to me, again, it's no different than when we just pump our own currency.
Yeah.
It's kind of the way that financials seem to move in our world right now. But what I like about Bitcoin and not so much Ethereum, but you can't print more Bitcoins. Ethereum, they have it basically over time it slows down the rate of Ethereum that you can produce, but you can still technically produce more Ethereum. So I love Ethereum in one way, but I just always like coins that cannot be minted anymore. Like more.
I see.
As far as for what you want to do with it, right? If you want to, hey, I want to send you this that has this value.
Yeah. Well, that's why the original backing was gold of the currency, of U.S. currency.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you can't make more.
Can't make more. And then, hey, we all agree this is worth this much gold.
Yeah.
So if I send you Bitcoin right now, we both agree it's worth that much. Mm-hmm. And if it goes down like 3% or 30% or whatever, everyone knows it's worth that much. That sucks. But that's going to happen when you have a volatile currency that's just emerging on all these landscapes. And it's also part of a market cycle. So, all of a sudden, Bitcoin doubles, right? And this is where, look, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not trying to tell anybody what to do here. But this is what I've learned in this space, right? Bitcoin tends to move first before Ethereum and before a lot of the altcoins that are now out. Like there's Litecoin, which is just a copy of Bitcoin, frankly, with good branding. Mm-hmm. And that's not a hit on Litecoin. Like, what is a dime, right? Mm-hmm. Like the idea behind Litecoin is that's the silver to Bitcoin's gold.
I see.
So you don't want to move huge amounts of Bitcoin if I want to send you something. Like a little bit of Bitcoin's worth a lot of money. So if I send you some Litecoin, I'm not going to be moving that much, and I'll probably spend less on fees depending on like how the gas fees are at the time. So that's kind of the thinking behind some of these other coins, right? Is like, okay, this silver to Bitcoin's gold, that's Litecoin. There's a ton of others. I mean, God, there's thousands now. But I really pay attention to what the space is excited about. Like everyone in the Ethereum space is excited about certain things. Everyone in the Bitcoin space is excited about certain things. And there's all kinds of different shit with forks and stuff that I don't care about. But yeah, so the cycle all of a sudden went from Bitcoin, which was raging, hit 2000. Okay. Then it kind of went sideways for a little while, right?
This is in 2016 still?
2006. Okay. Well, no, this went into 2017.
Okay.
Yes. So Bitcoin starts moving sideways. And then all of a sudden, Ethereum just starts fucking running. And it doesn't stop. It just runs and runs and runs and runs. And all that money that's people made in Bitcoin, they dumped into Ethereum. They dumped into all these other altcoins and that's what started what everyone calls now Altseason. Altseason is when Bitcoin's running sideways, and you can make fuck tons of money in the ratio compared to Bitcoin. So for what I pay per Bitcoin right now, say Ethereum right now, for every Bitcoin, you pay 0.03 Ethereum, right? It's not really what it is right now, but let's say it's that. So if Ethereum runs high while Bitcoin swings sideways, now all of a sudden the ratio goes even more favorable to you. So if you want to pay for a Bitcoin with Ethereum, you could pay eventually for a Bitcoin with one Ethereum, which hasn't happened yet. But that's kind of the thinking behind ratios, right? And so you can make a killing doing that, or you can lose your ass. So you have to be mindful about, what you're doing with that.
I actually just read about this concept. You can do it basically in any business or investment, but it's a thing called, I think it's called arbitrage.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's hugely popular.
Yeah. It's
what everyone uses Tether for right now, which is a stable coin in the crypto space that's always worth $1, algorithmically tied to $1 at all times.
Yeah. Investors seek arbitrage, which just to break it down, like in simpler forms, like it's, if you were to, let's say, have an ice cream shop and you're in a really busy city and ice cream sells for $5 at store B or store A and $5 at store B, you can't really sell your ice cream for much more, right? But then you go to this town, like a little bit outside of those towns, maybe it's not as populated, and you could start selling your ice cream for a little bit more or get more market share for that, and you start making way more money with that ice cream, and then the population grows and you actually like make a lot more even though you're selling the same ice cream.
And how much work is that, by the way? So you got to move ice cream to this other territory.
Yeah.
A lot of work, a lot of refrigeration, by the way, just in case you don't know that about the ice cream business. I happen to know that. But that's so attractive to investors, right? So now imagine you're in the digital space. You see Bitcoin's worth this much on the Gemini exchange and it's worth this much on Coinbase. There's serious money to be made out there if you can arbitrage these two coins, and you're just making a couple bucks.
Yeah.
And you do that with bots. People do that all the time, by the way, in this space. I have no ability to use bots. I have no interest in using bots, but it's super interesting to think about that kind of, value.
Yeah.
That crypto provides to a lot of people as well. Now, unfortunately, right now, there's a lot of gas fees in Ethereum. So just to send you something right now, it could be a lot of fucking money because Ethereum just spiked up to $1,200, I think, today. So, yeah, so the ratios, though, I think is the most interesting thing, and that's where I think a lot of the investment community in crypto is interested in, is like, okay, how much Bitcoin can I get if I buy this other coin and wait while it runs while Bitcoin goes sideways?
Yeah. And
so that's kind of the thinking behind a lot of that shit.
Yeah, being able to sell $5 for $10 is arbitrage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And being able, it's just like, it's no different than having gold, and all of a sudden gold surges and you're like, oh shit, my gold's worth way more today than it was yesterday. And that happens in crypto too. But now, silver doesn't move for a while, but you can dump your gold that just ran up for silver because you think silver's going to move next. And that's kind of crypto is a living, breathing market cycle, just like Wall Street. And all these Wall Street guys are stuck in I read it was a Ponzi in Wall Street Journal like 6 years ago. So that's what crypto is.
Yeah.
And it's just a huge mistake. And they don't really do the time to check it out and see what's going on. People like Peter Schiff, like huge gold guys, don't want you to check it out.
Well, because there hasn't really been a new market in a while,
Yes, exactly.
Like we've had, I guess the last time was the .com boom. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this is the internet of money.
Exactly. So, real estate and stock market real estate's been around forever. And then the stock market, the past like 150 to around there years. Whereas this is like, so people don't like to learn new tricks. There's no school for Bitcoin. There's no courses, but there was, what blew my mind is that our career field, social media in general, did not exist 10 years ago. I mean, not really, not as a career. It was not taken seriously when I first started. Mm-hmm. And now there's courses on it in college. Like we went and spoke at a college campus a few years ago to a social media class. There's like majors in social media. So it reminds me a lot of this when there's like a new field. At first, no one takes it seriously because there's no legitimacy. Like there's no establishments that are backing
my dad
it.
says.
Right. But then once people start making lots of money and people are establishing careers with it, that's when things start happening, or the tipping point starts happening.
Yeah, and I noticed that tipping point in my own personal life because I told my family about it, and nobody really did much. And then all of a sudden, it started running, and I guess they were paying attention to the news. And they're like, "Holy shit, Steve, this is like crazy."
What's hard is that, like I watched that documentary on Bitcoin a few years ago.
The Rise and Rise?
Yeah, once that starts becoming something people are paying attention to, and it starts becoming legitimate, that's when people want to regulate it. That's when governments want to start regulating it, which completely defeats the purpose of a decentralized financial
system.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I mean, there's benefits to regulation, right? I don't want people to get ripped off from Bitcoin scams and all this kind of shit.
Right.
So, you know, there's always benefits to that kind of thing, and there's obviously downsides too.
Yeah.
Where, in my opinion, if you look at what they do with news cycles to directly manipulate the price of Bitcoin, it's fucking embarrassing. Like they'll say, I mean, every couple months they say China's banned Bitcoin, and really, they don't. Like some of the biggest mining institutions in the world are China-based, and they do not get fucked with. They don't get turned off. I have a mining rig I could turn on anytime I want in case they ever did shut down China, because the profits over here would be fucking insane. So that's because they have that much. They do that much in a mining of Bitcoin in China. So yeah, a lot of times you can put a story out and say, for example, last week, there's this coin called Ripple or XRP. And for years, I don't like Ripple. I'm a crypto guy through and through, where I believe in the decentralized nature of cryptocurrencies, and I want them to not be bank owned and all this kind of shit. And Ripple's like exactly that. It's heavily involved with banks. They can print more any fucking time they want. They own like 80% of the supply of the token, so they can manipulate the fuck out of the price and market, and they do. So I despise Ripple, and last week the SEC came out and said that they're suing Ripple. And then Coinbase came out 5 days later, and they said they're delisting Ripple on Coinbase, which is fucking crazy.
What's Coinbase for those who don't know?
Coinbase is where you can get Bitcoin, Ethereum. There's also Gemini. There's a bunch of exchanges.
So it's an exchange.
Yeah, it's an exchange for cryptocurrency mainly. And it's also going to IPO soon, which I think is very interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
crypto really is flirting with the financial world big time. But the idea behind it is you can have the banks get involved in Bitcoin. Many already have, like Goldman Sachs, all those guys, like investment firms. They already have jumped into Bitcoin in some sense. But the root idea behind it is I can still send you this without anyone else's permission, and they can't change that, like ever. And I think that's the real value behind all of this, no matter what happens. And that's what I think Satoshi Nakamoto, the guy who invented Bitcoin, was trying to bring to our world that we didn't have before. Because he unleashed this thing after 2008 when everything melted down, and they're like, hey, we'll just bail out the car companies. We'll just bail everybody out. Here's a check for you. Here's a check for you. All these big banks get bailed out, but the people don't.
Right.
And so that's when Satoshi, he launched the white paper just after that and said, this is where we need to go. And I love that guy or girl, whoever they are.
Yeah, they're a mystery.
It's a mystery. We don't know who they are to this day.
There are theories, though.
Many theories. There's even a couple hoaxsters, too. There's a guy named Roger Ver who says he's the creator of Bitcoin. He says that he can sign a Bitcoin transaction as like from the Satoshi wallet, but he's never done it in front of anybody.
Okay.
But he does it in front of his friends, and then his friend comes out and says, "Yeah, he did it. It was cool." And that's all he gives you as evidence.
Hilarious.
And then if you call him out and say you're lying, I don't think you're actually the creator of Bitcoin. He'll try to sue you for defamation.
What?
Yeah, dude, guys out there.
That's crazy.
So
I mean, there's always opportunists.
Yeah, there's that guy, and then there's this guy named Hal Finney. Hal Finney. He, I think, likely was. I mean, he was the first person who received a Satoshi transaction. He was the first person who received a Bitcoin from Satoshi Nakamoto's wallet.
Got it. Yeah.
So I think he is Satoshi.
Yeah,
but that's me.
Because like, you would, if you were going to invent something, you would test it on yourself first.
Oh yeah.
I'm making candles right now, and I'm testing it on me
If
first.
it's not harmful to my body, if I'm like, yo, I got an invisibility potion. Hey, Nikki, you want to try it first? Then I'm like, yeah, that makes sense.
Right. Well, you got to be there to monitor it.
Yeah. I'm like, well, I want to see if you turn invisible, don't I? So I think it was probably that guy. But yeah, so,
What has he said about it? Has he said anything?
He died, unfortunately.
Oh.
He passed away, yeah.
Have there been any transactions from that account since he passed away?
No, it's worth billions. Wow. Billions and
he didn't
billions
even
of
will
dollars.
it to anybody?
Well,
or maybe he did.
Look, if you
or she
read Satoshi's postings, which I have, I don't think I've read them all, but I've read a lot of them. Satoshi's very much just like methodically like, hey, this is what we're doing. Okay, cool. Like and as soon as some of the guys who were involved in early Bitcoin went to speak at the CIA.
Yeah.
As soon as they did that, Satoshi was never heard from again. So I think he is a true believer. Obviously, if you read the white paper, you know that he is. So I think he's just like.
How do we know he passed away then?
Hal Finney passed away.
Hal Finney.
Yeah, we don't know about anything about Satoshi. He could be out there right now. He could have. I don't know what he could have done because dude, you got couple billion dollars in those wallets. You think even Satoshi Nakamoto would be tempted by that?
That's true.
So.
You know what? We'll talk more about this right after this break. Hey, thanks for listening to our podcast. We just want to take a break to tell you thanks for listening to our podcast. And if you want to rate it, that would be really awesome for us.
Listen, we're on break. We're not talking to you like podcast hosts right now. We're just talking to you like people.
As a friend.
And we just want to say, please rate the show because it helps out huge amounts.
Like, we're not desperate. We're kind of desperate.
We're giving shout outs right now to all the people who are giving it ratings. So huge shout out right now to Brian Jorgensen. That was sick of you, dude. Thank you. God bless. Huge shout out right now to Mark W. in Springfield, Connecticut.
Back to our podcast.
Jenny Blyke.
Hey, back to our podcast.
In Tuscany,
and
Florida.
Back to our podcast.
God bless you. Thank you.
Steven.
Thank you for supporting the show.
All right. So what now?
Welcome back.
Welcome back, everybody. Hope you bought whatever we were telling you to buy because it's awesome, whatever it was.
But we didn't tell you to buy any Bitcoins or anything like that. All right.
This is not financial advice. I just think that this is interesting because Steve has studied the market cycle long enough that he's able to, predict certain things that you can do with a lot of markets. Like if you're a real estate enthusiast, you can predict market cycles. A lot of people say that you can't time the market, but there's certain trends that you can kind of gather from the past to make a little bit more of an educated decision.
And that's what I'm so motherfucking excited about right now. And honestly, I have been the whole time. If you've heard me talk about Bitcoin and crypto shit, yeah, I do shtick and stuff and say oh my God, I'll throw everything in and lose my entire livelihood. But I believe in this shit.
Yeah.
And so it's a very exciting time right now. But coming into, what was the end around early 2018, right? Like around March-ish, everything started to bleed down, right?
Yeah.
So Bitcoin.
I remember it right when we bought our house.
Yes. Very famously.
Yes.
So yeah, Bitcoin starts going down, right? Taking Ethereum with it. And the alt market just fucking tanked off of a cliff.
Yeah.
Into oblivion.
It's basically everything follows Bitcoin. Yeah.
So if you were allocated heavily into say alts, right? You could have lost 98% of everything you had or more. If you were allocated in Ethereum, you could have lost 90-ish% at one point. I think it went all the way down to $75, some shit, from 1,200.
Yeah.
So it was not very hot, right? And then Bitcoin touched 20,000, kind of, dicked around 19,000, 18,000, and everyone's like, oh, it's just refueling for the launch to shoot past 20K, and then it tanked all the way down multiple times, hitting a couple floors, and people go, oh my gosh,
to what, like to like 5,000?
It went all the way down to 3,400, 3,500. Wow. Yeah. So everyone's saying it's dead again. Everyone's laughing at me personally. It's always very fun. I enjoy that. It's like if my team ever loses, everyone's like, fuck you. Yeah. I like that anyway. It's fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, people are like, this is dead. The Ponzi's finally dead. People like Peter Schiff, who's a heavy gold guy. He's like, see the Ponzi's dead, all this shit. And meanwhile, all of us who have been through this before, because I was there in 2013 when the whole fucking market tanked ass and then recovered. And then, but it recovered slowly over several years. So then everything's melting the fuck down and people are panic selling and people are calling me going, I can't believe this shit. Like, this is a scam, all this shit. And I'm selling. And they're like selling like the bottom of this thing. And
that happens in the stock market too.
Exactly.
People always sell out of fear. And that's why it's a joke to say like, oh yeah, buy low, sell high. That's what you should do. And everyone's like, haha, obviously. But you'd be surprised how many people don't do that. They sell low, they buy high and sell low because they're so scared.
Yes. So never invest more than you're willing to lose, ever.
Yeah.
But also, if you're into something like that you believe in, then, it's up to you, but that's where I'm at.
That was my question, is what made you so confident that it could recover again? Just because you went through one cycle where it crashed and then recovered, like what exactly made you so sold on it that you were so confident that it's going to happen again and that it's going to go way past 10,000, 20,000?
When you're in the trenches and everything's going down around you like that, and the way that I make it sounds very fast, but this is slow.
Yeah.
This goes down one day and then the next day and then the next day, and every time you check it, it's down and all that kind of shit. But when you go through something like that, like your brain fucking gets hardened. If you're not going to sell that shit, if you're not just going to bail, your brain is just battle tested, fucking getting ready to go, right?
But some may say that that's the same, like what if you were brainwashed?
Sunk cost fallacy? No question. No question. But I know why I bought it to begin with.
Yeah.
The idea of an open financial infrastructure where nobody needs permission. I love that always.
So your belief that this technology could bring that.
Yeah, and people were using it still.
Yeah.
That's what's so funny about this too, is I remember telling my dad, a lot of people who were like, this shit's dead. I'm like, why are people using it then? I could go to CoinMarketCap during the worst times of the bear market and show you billions of dollars moving through cryptocurrencies, right? Now you could say they're all selling or whatever, but why are billions of dollars constantly moving in and out of cryptocurrencies if it's just dead? If it's just that fucking dead thing, then like a dead company, the stock goes to fucking zero and nobody's buying it and selling it anymore.
Right.
But that wasn't happening with this. In fact, if you actually go back and look at the volumes, I think they got even higher than they were during the Bitcoin all-time high. When Bitcoin touched the all-time high, it was a huge amount of volume, right? But when everything slid the fuck down and went and tanked ass, shit was eventually creep back up in volume to past where the Bitcoin all-time high was in daily volume, daily amount of cash going in and out. So that's not a dead thing. That's just the market is tired. The bulls are tired. The bears are here to short. Mm-hmm. And that's what happened, right? So, and a lot of people are saying, oh my God, futures got into Bitcoin and they're just going to short it all the way into the drain, right? But if there is a reason why me and you having a permissionless financial transaction has a value, then I believe that value will show itself more and more as things happen in the world, as people don't have faith in their own currencies, as our government prints fuck tons of money and sends it to whoever the fuck. Like, people lose faith in those in their currencies, and so they look to alternatives. And now there are alternatives. So I think that does have a value. And I don't even think, you go to Bitcoin's market cap, it's not even $1 trillion yet. And our financial system's worth trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. So no, I don't think that all of this stuff, even back then, I did not think it was panned out or done or any of that kind of shit. I saw it as something that has even more value now because people were using it even more then, but it was at a huge discount at the time. And so that was exciting too. I'm like, you could buy all this shit at a discount.
Would you kind of say that it's at a discount now because it hasn't reached a tipping point yet?
Okay, so this is where, I'm not giving you financial advice whatsoever.
Yes. This is for entertainment purposes.
I am just a guy from the internet. Okay.
We do bits.
Yeah. But I believe, based on the same exact shit that I saw in 2016, you even saw it.
Yes.
Where I remember buying some Ethereum and everyone on Facebook eventually months later going, this shit's going to 1,000 like Bitcoin. And everyone just sort of started to just think that it was just going to 1,000. And when a bunch of people believe something, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't think it's like juju shit. I think it's like people going, wait a minute, is this how much it's worth? Wait, it just went up again. Is this how much it's worth? Hold on, it went up again. Is this how much it's worth? And then agreeing on a point to sell it.
Right.
Right. So I think that for the same reason I thought Ethereum was going to 1,000 and it went to 1,200. And I told you that back then when it was 8. I think that Bitcoin right now, as it exists, 32,000 something.
Yeah.
33,000. I think it'll go 200,000 at the end of this.
I think that's what's scary to me is that I don't, and maybe you understand this, but I don't, is how you can calculate the intrinsic value of it. Like how, like people don't know how much it's worth because how do we don't know the intrinsic value of it.
How do we know what anything's worth unless everyone agrees that it's worth that much?
Yeah.
I mean, can you not go up to somebody and they have something they think is worth this and you can haggle them down? Sometimes they're like, no, this is worth way more. I disagree with you. So we don't always agree on what something is worth, right? But we do agree on what it does and if that has value.
Right.
And I think that that's why I cared even when it was sliding down the quote unquote cliff. Whereas for me, if you look at that chart, there's a great chart out there. Maybe we can find it, Mark, and put it up. I'll send it to you, buddy. It's called The Evolution of a Market Cycle. And you can see the way that, there's despair. There's people, well, let's just start in the beginning, right? There's like disbelief. Wait a minute. It's kind of going up. Is this like a thing? Oh, shit. It just went up a little bit. This is really cool. And then it just fucking shoots up, right?
Because everyone has FOMO. They don't want to.
People are like, this is a new paradigm. This is like crazy. Oh my God. And then it's going sky high, sky high. I can't lose. And then down the cliff. Oh, it'll relieve itself. It'll come back. My baby's just getting going. It goes down again. Oh my God, what happened? Is this dying? It goes down, 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 down. And then sideways, people are going like, was this all a scam? Man, I can't believe I got played. All the shit you hear about Bitcoin. Tell me I'm saying anything you haven't heard before, right?
Yeah.
But the smart people, in my opinion, they look at all of that as opportunity and go, okay, so we're in the despair phase. It's time to start accumulating for myself to be ready for the launch phase again, because it's just a cycle. It's not the end of a Ponzi.
Right.
And so that's why I believe
that's why research is so important. Because if you don't know anything about the thing you're putting money into, then you're always going to feel like you got ripped off when it goes down or when you start, quote unquote, losing money, which, by the way, you haven't lost money unless you sell it. So don't sell it.
That's the thing, right? Like that's what I've always thought. I mean, that's my personal, because I believe in it anyway.
Yeah.
I'm like, I haven't lost anything.
But but if you don't believe in it, you're not researched on it, then do sell it. Yeah.
If you don't think anything I'm saying is attractive, I mean, I'm already not telling you to buy it anyway.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so there's a lot going on right now though in crypto, right? And I've talked about this a little bit recently, but so now everything tanked ass. All my friends are like, fuck this. A couple of them are like, nah, I'm holding anyway.
We're in 2018 right now.
We're in 2018. Yeah. A couple of them are like, I'm holding anyway. I don't care. I already looked at it like I lost that money anyway as soon as I went in. So I'm just going to see what happens. So shit kind of, stays sideways. And then the COVID hits.
Yes.
In March.
Wow. You jumped 2 years.
Or right.
It was sideways for 2 years.
Sideways for about 2. I mean, sideways going down, really. It was
Yeah.
like a
Downsloped.
diagonal line going down the stairs, right?
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, you know, we started to have a little bit of relief, actually. A little bit of relief coming into 2020. Things were going up again. And then COVID hits. The whole rug gets pulled out of everybody.
Yeah.
Terrifies the market. Bitcoin goes from, I think it was recovered to 10 by then, 10,000-ish. And then it slid all the way the fuck back down to 3,300, I think.
Yeah, everyting did. The stock markets, oh my gosh.
It was like a flash crash.
Yeah.
And if you bought Bitcoin then, you're a fucking legend because it doubled like within days.
Honestly, if you bought pretty much anything in stocks or crypto at that time,
But especially right now in crypto, holy God, you crushed it.
Yeah.
Because that was exactly the timing of the bottom of the bear market.
Yes.
The actual complete end of it and the beginning of the bull. And here's the other thing that I know about Bitcoin that I learned from watching Bitcoin since 2013. There's always this event that happens called the halvening. And I was calling this shit on JK News and all this other stuff for years because people are going, haha, crypto's dead. And I'm going, no, the halvening is coming. And when the halvening happens, a couple months after that, the market seems to recover, coinciding with the halvening happens. And the halvening, real quick, is every day a certain amount of Bitcoin is allowed to be released, right, through the blockchain. As the halvening happens, it's algorithmically tied into the amount of Bitcoin there is, and that's been depleted. And as the halvening happens, it goes half of whatever it is right now. So let's say 3 Bitcoins are allowed to get minted today. Mm-hmm. Well, now that gets cut in half. It's 1.5. So after that, there's more scarcity, right?
Yeah.
In Bitcoin. And so that seems to be the primer for the fuel that launches the market back up again.
I see.
And a lot of people don't even know about the scarcity aspect of it and all that kind of shit. So it's a very solid indicator that everyone seems to agree is a good time to start buying Bitcoin again.
Yeah. I like patterns.
As a cycle. Yeah, exactly. Dude, financial advisors love patterns.
Yeah. I think that's why old school financial people didn't really like cryptocurrency because there was no patterns yet.
Yeah.
You know, it hadn't really been established. There's no history. It's just a Wild West.
Yeah. And in my opinion, when it goes to where I think it's going to go, I think it'll touch 200,000. That's my personal opinion. I think it'll touch 200,000 before it begins the next bear cycle. And all these other market cap coins out there, like smaller market cap coins, are going to see gigantic fucking gains during this time.
Yeah. You call it Altseason.
Altseason. So yes. Critically, Bitcoin just ran to about 33,000. I think once it hits about 40, and this is my personal opinion, it's going to go sideways after that. It'll dip, whatever. Mm-hmm. But then it's going to go sideways. And then Ethereum runs. It already kind of did, $1,200, but not the all-time high yet.
Yeah.
So I think once Bitcoin hits 40K, Ethereum runs, and then Altseason. And Altseason is when you can make up the most in ratios. You buy a bag of whatever the fuck shit coin you're interested in, and you like it or whatever, and then it gains the most against Bitcoin while alts are running in the ratios, right?
Yeah.
So that's where a lot of people are at right now. And there's, by the way, I'm just talking about it purely in a market cycle sense. I believe in a lot of this different shit. Mm-hmm. I'm just not zeroing in on anything and zooming in on a project and going, here's why its use case is great and all this shit. I'm talking about it as a market cycle and as
because
patterns.
Each of these coins has different technologies, different things that it does, right?
They're so different or they're so similar. It just depends on what we're talking about.
Like in the stock market, these would be different companies, businesses,
Exactly.
They do different things.
Yeah, but they all roughly do the same-ish shit, but then
they're
of them...
in the same industry-ish.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But they have different use cases. Like they have different utilities. Mm-hmm. Some, DeFi space is all about that yield farming shit where, hey, I'm putting up this amount of currency and I'm expecting to get this much of it back just for staking it. And that's a hugely popular thing out there right now. There's this thing called sushi that's really big in the Ethereum community.
Sushi?
Yeah, it's called sushi. Yeah.
I love
Dude,
sushi.
It sounds scammy as fuck, right? That's so scary.
No, I mean, if Dogecoin can make it.
Exactly, dude.
What's Dogecoin at now?
Dogecoin's worth $1 billion.
So what?
It's worth $1 billion. Well, if you look at the whole market.
Okay, well yeah.
What is Dogecoin?
But what's crazy is that it started out as a meme coin, didn't it? Like,
yeah, it's a total joke.
It was like a joke. Just like you know that in the stock market they have this thing where like monkeys pick random stocks every year.
Yep.
And it's like the monkey pie or whatever.
Yep.
And they pick a bunch of monkeys pick random stocks, and they feel like the monkeys will have a better shot at picking stocks than the best financial advisors.
And they can be
and
very
a lot
right.
of times they're very comparable.
Yeah.
In fact, right now, this is January 5th, the monkey pie is beating the S&P.
I love it. Listen, I love it. I love it because that's what Dogecoin is, right? Dogecoin is a parody of the dollar. They're going, fuck you. Because you say it's $1 and it's worth money. Like, well, guess what? This coin with a dog's head on it, with the doggy dog on head on it, is worth fuck tons now. It's worth $1 billion.
Yeah.
So if you were to take all the Dogecoin out there, put it together, it's worth $1 billion, more than $1 billion right now. That's how incredible that is.
I love it.
It's the best troll ever.
It's awesome.
So yeah, but that's the kind of, I mean, the crypto space has a lot of trolly nature to it. That's part of what attracted me to it initially as well.
Because you got a lot of tech nerds. I mean, nerds are going to do nerd humor.
Yes.
And that's what trolling is.
Yes. Thank you. Nice. Yeah. So, but this is a critical time, in my opinion. I think, you know, as Ethereum heads towards that all-time high, by the time you listen to this, it probably will. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
So probably goes to 1,400. That, in my calculus, that's the new floor now. It won't go under there. Like, again, that will be set.
What's the new floor? 20?
$1,400
14.
Ethereum.
Oh, Ethereum.
Yeah. And just like Bitcoin, right? So Bitcoin hit 20,000. I have people who are saying, haha, I just sold. I'm good. I made $220 or whatever. And it's like, you're not paying attention to the market cycle part, but it's fine. You do your thing.
Yeah.
But then it went to 32,000 and they're like, what the fuck's going on? I can't believe this shit. But if you know about the market cycle stuff, then you're not that impressed by it. You're like,
if you do all the research.
You're like, finally.
Yeah.
This is the day. I didn't know when, but finally, it's here. Mm-hmm. So now I think, that becomes the new Ethereum floor, and then alts run, and then after that, you can make your moves as to what you want to do when you are looking to take your profits and get the fuck out. Like, exit into Ethereum, exit into Bitcoin, hold a little bit of that, take your profits out, and then cash out.
Do you believe in going long on any of this? Because, you know, when you invest in the stock market, it's usually going with the mentality of holding forever. I mean, obviously, you're not going to hold forever if something changes within the companies that you're picking, but like, that's the mentality.
So I think one of my biggest mistakes in crypto was just holding forever. Mm-hmm. I think that you have to be willing to make moves that coincide with the cycle.
I see. I
don't believe anymore in just holding a coin because I think number go up forever. I don't believe that. Mm-hmm. I now believe in taking profits off the table and
that's good.
Yeah, just being more
diversifying.
Diversify. Just because it is a market cycle, it is not. You're not going to go pick that one coin that's always going to stay at that one price. Unless you literally just go into Tether. But then my fear is that Tether gets rated by the fucking New York Stock or the SEC or something tomorrow, and then everything fucking goes to hell and you can't pull your money out. So I don't know if I even believe in that.
I see.
Right now,
yeah.
I don't know.
But the cycle, the way it works is Bitcoin surges first, then it flattens.
Think of Bitcoin as a snowplow that readies the road for the rest of the market.
I see.
So the snowplow just went. Ethereum is now driving on that road.
I'm just curious because I remember when you first got into Ethereum and like no one had heard of it and stuff. It was back in 2016 and stuff, or 2017. I can't remember. But
2016.
What? I'm just curious. What price was it at?
When I found it, it was like $5, and I didn't start buying it until it was like $8 because I was doing my research on it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And now it's at 1,200.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah. And it's not the only coin that's done that. So I'm just saying that it's not like I just found a unicorn in the middle of a rainforest and like, now I'm a unicorn expert and I'm like walking around big dick in it going, You'll find a unicorn. You just got to keep walking, guys.
Yeah.
Like I've found unicorns a couple times now. So
yeah, I mean, that's what Warren Buffett says too. Like people for a while, they were comparing him to monkeys picking stocks. Like he's just a monkey that got lucky over and over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
That if you could basically like have monkeys do the same thing. And he proved it wrong because they're like him and everybody in his circle does the same thing over and over again. They find these companies because once you have a system and you know the formula and you know what to look for.
Yeah, and look, I'm not going to sit here and say I got it all figured out. I've made mistakes.
Yeah.
But I know what I'm looking for, and I know how the market cycle works to some degree. Now, I'm not the highest IQ guy. I'm not any of that shit. I just have done it before, like almost like muscle reflexes for a quarterback, like throwing a ball. Like he just knows how to throw that ball. And I just kind of know how this market cycle works and how emotions work with people. That's what I fucking did for a living with trolling. Like knowing how to walk up to somebody and get something out of them, like an emotional reaction that I need from them, and how to read them enough to know that they're the right person to walk up to, right? So you have to kind of know like emotions, and this fits so well into crypto. It's like crazy. It's like this beautiful chemistry that I've found over the years with it, because I know when I got friends texting me, I lost this much money, it's over. I'm like, man, okay, this is maybe close to the time when I should be buying some shit.
Yeah.
Like honestly,
it's true. Yeah.
It's just if you.
When I heard the stock market crashed at the beginning of the pandemic, that's when I was like, okay, what are we buying?
Dude, and that's something that I just had to learn.
Yeah.
Like I had to learn that. I didn't notice that last time around. Like last time around, I was very confused. Like I was like, oh shit, is it really over, all this stuff? Mm-hmm. Not this last time, but not the time before that.
Yeah.
Like when Bitcoin's melting down the first time, I'm like, oh shit, is it really over? That's interesting. Guess I just lost that money. Oh well. But I didn't really put it together until the next time it was happening. And then I'm like seeing shit line up and I'm going, okay, I kind of get how this works on an emotional level.
Yeah.
Which is.
That's all the market is.
It's all any market is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just emotions.
Yeah, exactly. But this is something that's so underrated when it comes to this. This is some shit they don't tell you.
Yeah.
Because they really never talk that much about that shit. In fact, that sounds like talking about crystals to some people. Like, that's the most absurd, stupid shit ever. Mm-hmm. But that's not. It's exactly how these guys think. And we've been doing like some Wall Street stuff. Well,
if you read the book, Benjamin Graham wrote it, I don't know, like 100 years ago or whatever, and it hasn't changed. It's where he talks about how he calls the market Mr. Market, and Mr. Market gets emotional because Mr. Market is just people.
That's it.
People run on fear and greed.
Until it's the robots and singularity, it's always going to be emotions and fear and greed. And the same kind of shit that gets people to run into a ballot box, like, is the same kind of shit that gets people to run into a bank, right? And say, I need to get all my money out right now.
Sorry, there's a kitten writhing on a table, and I just have to
hope that's
acknowledge
okay.
it really quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I that's all. I just think that right now, for me, it's a critical time for cryptocurrency because this is before even the FOMO, I think. This is before people really even know what the fuck's going on. Everyone's still talking about Bitcoin, and they're all going like, wow, that Bitcoin, I wish I had some of that. And so now Ethereum's just like really
kind of getting known
again. Search term for Ethereum and Bitcoin on Google Trends today just hit near the all-time highs. So that's why I sit here and I go, I think Ethereum is about to hit the all-time high again.
Yeah.
Because I'm some fucking expert guru, blah, blah, blah. I'm going, everyone's looking around and agreeing, I need to get some of this right now.
Yeah, you're just passionate about it. And like, I wouldn't even think to look at Google Trends. That's great.
It's like, dude, you can look at Google Trends for a coin.
Yeah.
And it like almost coincides perfectly with the price. Yeah. It's fucking incredible. But if you want to know more about how emotions are connected to markets, like hello. Boom.
It's, I don't know if we're just living in a matrix, but when I learned about Fib Charts and how like you could predict trends with Fibonacci numbers, like the ratio of Fibonacci numbers, it's just crazy that actually is a thing. That to me sounds like more like magic and crystals, because it's like, how is that not just coincidence, but it just happens over and over?
Well, half the time it is too. I got some buddies who do some TA Fibonacci charts, and there's some doozies, but like I've seen some projections.
Yeah.
This coin It's in a ascending triangle. Oh, it's about to break out. Breaks down, breaks down, breaks out.
It's much better historically.
Yeah. Well, what it is really though, Fib charts are great for charting what happened.
That's what I said.
So that you can see
going back in history.
Yeah, so that
historically.
you can make an informed decision on what you think is going to happen.
Exactly.
Yeah, and they're brilliant for that. It's absolutely brilliant for that, I think. So
yeah.
Yeah, I love all this shit, man. I could talk about this shit for hours.
I know. I love it. I love how passionate you are about it, because before this, it was this level of passion for fantasy football only. And I'm so glad that it's now being put towards something more productive for our family. But I get it.
Yeah.
But does it bring money into our family? Is it
much.
something that grows
only if I win a ship.
Your net worth and your wealth?
Only if I win a ship, yeah.
Is it something that can we travel around the world on fantasy football? I mean, maybe if you're in a league that like bets crazy amounts and you somehow are just so good at it. But I believe you placed 11th out of 12th this year in our fantasy team.
We can move on.
So for all the passion.
I thought we were talking about crypto. I hate diversions like this. I hate that. I hate tangents.
All right, we'll end it then. Anyway, thank you for...
very quickly though.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to say, I'm very, very, very excited personally about the Ethereum DeFi space. That's all.
Okay, great.
That's it.
I love it.
Yep.
I also love knowing, I know what coins you're into, and I love that you haven't mentioned any of them.
No.
Because this is not a financial advice show.
Nope.
Anyway, thanks for watching.
Well, I have mentioned Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Yeah. But those are the main two that everyone knows.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to Shit They Don't Tell You. If you could rate us in the iTunes store or wherever you're listening, rate us on there. Leave us a little comment to give us a little flirt with us a little bit.
Yeah. Also, we do on our Patreon, we do this show called Shit They Don't Tell You After Dark.
After Dark. It's a bonus episode every month. Yeah.
Which we don't film in our living room. We film in our closet upstairs, and it's way more personal.
Very personal, very intimate. We talk about things that, I don't know, like they're just not ready for the public yet.
No, they're not.
And we also do one called We Just Woke Up, where it's rough thoughts when we wake up in the morning. Like, what are we thinking about?
So there you
go. Check it out. Patreon.com/Stdty. All the stuff is in the description, and we'll see you next time.
I hope that by the time this episode comes out, that
everything tanked.
Bitcoin is at rated. $8.
It got rated by the SEC.
And I'm sitting here big dicking it, like, oh yeah, watch this shit, 200K, all this shit. Fucking goes to $7.50.
If Bitcoin's at $8 right now, buy it.
Yeah, seriously.
Buy it.
Hey, that's financial advice. If it's at $8, yeah, buy that
Go
shit.
buy it.
Exactly.
All right, we'll see you next time. Bye. Guys.